The world has been holding its breath for weeks. For over a month now, the skies above Iran haven't gone quiet. American and Israeli aircraft have carved paths through the darkness night after night, striking targets with precision. Explosions have lit up deserts, mountains, and industrial zones. From a distance, it looks overwhelming, relentless. But here's the part no one expected. Iran hasn't backed down. Not even close. And now, something far more dangerous is unfolding. The Strait of Hormuz, one of the most critical choke points on Earth, is no longer open. Oil tankers are stuck. Global markets are spiraling. Energy prices are climbing by the day, sending shockwaves across economies thousands of miles away. And while the world watches headlines, troops are quietly moving. Ships are arriving. Orders are being signed. This is no longer just an air war. Let's start with what's already in motion. Out at sea, the USS Tripoli has taken position. On board, roughly 2,200 Marines. Not just infantry, this is a full expeditionary force. F-35B stealth fighters sit ready on deck. Osprey aircraft stand by, capable of launching troops deep inland within hours. Another amphibious assault ship, the USS Boxer, is still making its way across the ocean, carrying thousands more Marines. And in the background, nearly 3,000 paratroopers from the 82nd Airborne Division have been given deployment orders written, signed, and ready. Above it all, one carrier group is doing most of the heavy lifting. The USS Abraham Lincoln. Right now, its aircraft are flying active strike missions over Iranian territory. But here's what makes this moment so fragile. There's only one carrier fully in the fight. The USS Gerald R. Ford, which helped ignite the opening phase of this conflict, is out of action after a fire forced it to withdraw. A replacement, the USS George H.W. Bush, is being prepared, but it hasn't arrived yet. So for now, everything rests on a single floating airbase. That's not how wars like this are usually fought. And it's not what you'd expect before a full-scale invasion. Because that's the key detail most people are missing. This isn't an invasion force. Not yet. These are rapid response units. Designed for fast strikes. Limited objectives. Surgical operations. But even without crossing the border, the situation is already spiraling. Iran has started hitting back. Hard. One of the first major strikes landed at Prince Sultan Air Base in Saudi Arabia. Reports confirmed American personnel were injured. A high-value radar aircraft was effectively taken out. Refueling planes, critical for sustained air operations, were damaged. Then came another blow. A U.S. military tanker aircraft went down over Iraq. 6 crew members on board, gone. And suddenly, the region started to hesitate. Several Gulf nations, fearing retaliation, initially denied U.S. forces access to their bases. That hesitation didn't last forever, but it showed something important: this war isn't contained. It's spreading pressure across the entire region. Even countries not directly involved are being forced to choose sides. Spain has already shut its airspace to U.S. military flights completely. And still, no ground invasion has even begun. So what are the options? What could actually break the deadlock? One idea keeps coming up in military circles. A small island. But one with massive consequences. About 15 miles off Iran's southern coast sits Karg Island. At first glance, it doesn't look like much. But this island handles the overwhelming majority of Iran's oil exports. Control it, and you choke Iran's economy. Force it to negotiate. Reopen the strait. Simple, right? Not even close. Because Iran knows exactly how important that island is. And they've turned it into a fortress. Every possible landing zone is covered. Defensive positions are layered across the beaches. Anti-ship weapons, missile systems, and drone launch sites are all positioned to strike anything that gets too close. And the biggest problem? Distance. Iran's mainland is right there. 15 miles. That means any assault wouldn't just be fighting the island. It would be fighting the entire coastline behind it. Sure, elite marine units could probably take it. That's not the hard part. Holding it? That's where everything starts to fall apart. Because holding that island means constant supply lines, ships, aircraft, reinforcements moving in and out non-stop. Every single one of them exposed. Every second. Missiles from the mainland could hit supply ships. Drones could swarm incoming aircraft. There is no safe zone. And to defend it, the U.S. would need to station high-value naval assets, destroyers, around the island permanently. Assets that are desperately needed elsewhere. Military analysts have a name for this kind of plan. A trap. Not because it can't be done. But because once you're in, there's no clean way out. And even if Karg Island falls, it doesn't solve the bigger problem. The strait itself, because Iran didn't need a traditional navy to shut it down. That navy? Already gone. Destroyed early in the conflict. What's keeping the strait closed is something much harder to fight. Asymmetry. Thousands of fast attack boats. Hidden missile launchers. Mobile units constantly shifting along a coastline filled with natural cover, coves, cliffs, rocky terrain. And beneath the water. Mines. Thousands of them. Clearing them isn't simple. It's slow. Dangerous. And here's the catch. The U.S. doesn't have dedicated mine-clearing ships in the region anymore. They were phased out not long ago. So reopening the strait becomes a long, grinding process with no quick victory. There is another option. Go after the problem directly. Relentlessly. Helicopter raids. Small, fast, precise. Units fly in, hit missile sites, destroy radar systems, and leave before Iran can respond. Do it again. And again. And again. It sounds effective. Until you look at the scale. Iran's coastline stretches for hundreds of miles. Targets aren't fixed, they move. They hide. They adapt. Destroy one site today. Another appears tomorrow. It becomes a cycle with no clear end. No guarantee of success. Just constant pressure. And then there's the reason this war started in the first place. The nuclear program. Airstrikes have done damage, serious damage. Facilities hit. Infrastructure crippled. But one location remains a problem. A massive one. Hidden deep within a mountain near Natanz lies a facility designed to survive exactly this kind of war. Reinforced tunnels. Hardened entrances. Structures built to withstand bunker-busting bombs. Air power alone? Probably not enough. Which leaves only one option. Go in. On foot. This is where things get dangerous in a completely different way. Special operations. The kind that never make headlines unless something goes wrong. Elite units, Delta Force, Navy SEALs, possibly working alongside Israeli teams already inside the country. The mission would be precise. Insert under cover of darkness. Disable defenses. Reach the facility. Destroy it, or extract proof of what's inside. then get out. Fast. But nothing about this is simple. If helicopters are detected, if defenses are stronger than expected, if the mission takes too long, those operators could be trapped deep underground, cut off. And suddenly, a covert operation turns into something much bigger. A rescue mission. And that could trigger a full-scale war. Because once ground troops cross into Iran in large numbers, there's no turning back. Iran isn't a small country. It's vast, mountainous, difficult to navigate, and home to nearly 90 million people. An invasion wouldn't just face the military. It would face everything. Regular forces, elite units, paramilitary groups, civilians willing to fight. To match that kind of resistance would require something the US hasn't done in generations. Mass mobilization. The kind seen during World War II. And even then, there are no guarantees. History offers a warning. Iraq. Thousands of lives lost. Trillions spent. Years of insurgency. Now imagine something far larger. Far more complex. That's why, despite all the talk, a full invasion remains the least likely path. But the fact it's even being discussed says everything. Because while strategies are debated, something else is happening quietly in the background. Resources are running out. In just the first month, hundreds upon hundreds of long-range missiles have already been used. Weapons that take time, years, to produce. Stockpiles meant for entirely different conflicts are being drained at a pace no one expected. Thousands of munitions deployed. Billions of dollars spent. And every single one of those weapons is now gone. That matters. Because the world isn't standing still. China is watching. Carefully. Measuring response times. Tracking capabilities. Studying weaknesses. And adjusting. Russia is benefiting from rising oil prices, channeling that money into its own war efforts. Every decision in this conflict echoes somewhere else. This isn't isolated. It never was. And that's the real story. Not just bombs and strategies, but pressure. On systems. On alliances. On limits. Because every path forward carries risk. Every move creates new problems. And every delay makes the situation harder to control. So the question isn't just how this war is fought. It's how far it goes. Because once the next step is taken, whether it's an island assault, a covert mission deep underground, or boots crossing a border, there's no easy way to undo it. And history has shown. The hardest part of war isn't starting it. It's stopping it.